My name is Andrew. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm Italian. I had a great mother and father. I had brother and sister. I had a great upbringing. Just the Italian in us, it's different than any other nationality. It's very deep and honorable. Family was very important to me. At the age of 18 years old, I realized my life was going in the wrong direction, but I had a problem with reading and writing. So I winded up trying to join the Navy. So I went into the Navy recruiting office because I knew I had to change my life. And because I couldn't read and write, and I had to take a test there, I walked out the door, and that's when my career started with the family business. As we know, in Italian people, the family business is a different business than most businesses. So I did that for many years of my life, and my life became very difficult through that. I worked under, I would call him my uncle, and I did a lot of collecting and things that most people don't understand, because what you usually see is what you see in a movie, but living it is a whole different ball game, because I was ordered to do things that I really didn't want to do. And actually, the guy that I call my uncle, he said to me one day, "Andrew, you're the worst gangster I ever seen," because I had so much heart that I couldn't do the things I did with the heart that I had. But I did it anyway, and that's why I did drugs, to get away from what I've done. It started out with the lifestyle that I was living. All of us, every one of us, did cocaine. So all the guys that I hung out with did cocaine. It was just for fun. I never thought it would become an addiction. I opened up a nightclub in Naples, Florida. And after having the nightclub for years, I winded up meeting a girl, and she turned me on to crack cocaine. And that's when my addiction became even worse. That drug, I never ever thought that I would ever do that to begin with. And then from doing it to going to 16 recovery centers, 2 times in prison. That was all after smoking one hit. I did one hit of crack cocaine and got addicted to it immediately. And like I said, I did 16 recovery centers, 2 times in prison. I have 2 children that I haven't seen in 20 years. I've been shot twice. I was homeless. I ate out of garbage pails. I lost $2 million. So it became a real nightmare in my life. And just recently, I just started to see the light. I've always been looking for God, but could never find him because of my lifestyle. Because if we know anything about God, we have to do God 100%. When I look back at my time at Pivot Ministries, the first thing I remember is I had to surrender. But for a guy like me, I didn't know how to surrender. But I heard a guy tell me one day, "Andrew, if you surrender to God, God will do the rest." Because when I learned how to surrender, I was able to be obedient. And through that, my whole life changed. Walking through the doors of Pivot Ministries, it gave me the opportunity to spend all my time with God. I started to feel a change in my spirit. We had certain classes that I went to that started to change my thoughts and process of my recovery. I started to see a difference in speaking to Pastor Richard. I seen the difference in speaking to Sister Mary and Brother Kevin and Brother Basil. I never used that word brother, but since being in Pivot Ministries, I started to change the way I talk, the way I think, and the way I act. All due to the classes and the process that Pivot Ministries uses wraps around Jesus Christ. When I first started doing the choir in Pivot Ministries, I didn't like it because guys like me don't do things like that. I remember being in choir in school and they would say, Andrew, I'd say, give me an F. But with Christ in my life, every church we ever go to in Pivot Ministries, God shows up. So it took me a while to understand that I loved it. It's a whole different way of living. So I love being here, and even though it's difficult, it's not easy. With him, everything is possible. For the first time, I felt like I was part of something. And I fulfilled something that I didn't think I could do. And I did it through Pivot Ministries. The men in the program actually became part of my family, you know, because if we know who God is, we're part of God's family, and the men in Pivot Ministries became part of my family. One of the greatest gifts that God's given me is the restoring of my life. And what I mean by that is God restored my relationship with my sister. God restored the relationship with my brother Frankie. God restored my relationship with my aunts and uncles. You know, and it's amazing because what I couldn't do, he did. When I look in the mirror now, the old is gone and the new is here. And what I mean by that is I see the renewing of a man that could have done none of this. Only through him was I able to do it.